Your daily Bible verse for August 8th, 2025 is 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 2 in the KJV. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. In the NIV, but since there is so much immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman her own husband. Nevertheless, versus but since, really basically the same. Avoid fornication versus immorality. Ooh, interesting. So, in this case, fornication very specifically, sex outside of the covenant of marriage. Whether you're single or you're married and you're going outside of your marriage, none of that matters. If it's not with your spouse, it's fornication under these definitions, and it's intimacy. This is the word I'm going to choose because that's the word I choose uh, to use for that particular act in the first place. If it's with your spouse, then immorality being just immoral sex in this case. Really, it's the same, except there's a lot more ways to be immoral than just uh, the necessity of avoiding uh, fornication. Like, there's a lot of ways. Let every versus each, um, and then that's twice because it refers to both the husband and the wife. And so I will say at least that's balanced. Every husband should only have one wife, which is not the way it was in the Old Testament, but the way it came to be. It came to be started, but you can see where the laws started to reflect because they had the Leah Rachel situation. Then it started being that, it became part of Mosaic law that a man can't marry a woman and her sister. He can only be married to one or the other because it creates too many fights, creates too many issues going on. So they start making rules. They're in there. You can see it change throughout time, but you have to be reading and watching carefully. And in this case, it's narrowed down to even more to where it's just nope. One, marriage is between two people and not the outside world. Don't invite people into your marriage. That is not what you signed up for. When you got married, you signed up for just this person and they signed up for just you. It is a covenant. It's a sacred vow. And once that trust is broken, it often doesn't come back. And that's a shame because you really need to have both people working on it to nurture a marriage back to strength. It is a very difficult thing to do. You can't do it alone. They can't fight for you for the marriage. And I know many people want to protest and scream and yell that they could, but not really, because no matter how much work you're putting in, this person is not pouring back into you, and eventually it'll turn into bitter resentment. Everything that doesn't have something pour back into it eventually becomes bitter. We have a physical example of this. It's called the Dead Sea. It's dead because it's so salty, nothing can live in it. And that's what happens to any one person, no gender specified here. If they are pouring into any relationship too much, doesn't matter if it's marriage or not. That's part of the human condition. So if you're expecting your partner to not respond like a human so you can go do things that you never had the right to do in the first place since you took the vow of marriage, then you're the one who's got to readjust your expectations. Not meant to be shared. I don't care who's involved in that marriage covenant. You're not sharing them with anybody else. It will create some form of issues if people are deeply emotionally bonded. Now, there are a lot of couples who feel like they can do that in any other different way, and good for them if they can make it work. But the Bible here says eventually it causes a downfall. You, of course, are free to disagree and live your life however you want, because I'm not in your life and I can't step in there and do anything to change it. Even, I wouldn't even if I could, but because mostly if we don't need the cops. What people do in their private life is their own business. And I'm just going to advise that the less people who are involved in your sex life, the less problems you're going to have in your world.